Good morning, everyone. I am so excited to welcome you all to our DARE graduation, and I know how hard you've been working. I also want to thank so much from the bottom of my heart the Hollis Police Department for supporting this amazing program. They make sure that Officer Bergeron is always available to come over to teach us these really great lessons. So Officer Bergeron, can you come over and talk to us a little bit about DARE and how amazing everything has been this year? Come on up.
Good morning. My name is Officer Bergeron, Hollis Police Department. A little bit about DARE. It's a program that dates back to the early 80s out of LAPD. It's had several curriculum changes. The most recent is the Keeping It Real. It focuses on alcohol, tobacco, making good choices, resistance strategies, and not bullying, and being able to have communication, know what verbal communication versus nonverbal communication, effective listening. That's pretty much the program. It's 10 weeks long. Hopefully you've had some good conversations with your parents on the topics that we've discussed every week. Before we start, a few thank yous. I want to thank the PTSA. They're the ones that were able to donate all the t-shirts for graduation. They've supported for many years, and I appreciate their support. The United Club and Mrs. Willett up at the middle school, they've supported the DARE program for roughly 3 years now. It's a club that's an anti-bullying club once you get up to the middle school. Miss Willett's the art teacher, and the name of it again is United. They paid for the certificates for everyone and the essay medals, the DARE essay winner medals. I want to thank the paraprofessionals, Mrs. Dodge, Mrs. Epler, Mrs. Hubert, Mr. Tasso, Ms. Jessie. Without them, I don't think I would have reached all the students. They helped me in the classroom, and I appreciate it. Mrs. Fowler for having us in the school for the program. I appreciate it as well. Office staff, without Ms. McMullen and Mrs. Anderson, I probably wouldn't have got all the certificates done. I would have had them by hand. The 6th grade team for letting me in their classroom and helping me do all the work and supporting me. I appreciate it. And the students, thanks for being patient with me, especially on Zoom and in the classroom. And last, my chief for still allowing me to do this. I appreciate it. Thank you, Chief. Yeah. And with that being said, I'll pass it over to the chief, who has a few words.
Morning, students. Morning, everyone. Just the microphone. How am I doing? Good? Good? All right. So my name's Joe. I'm certainly honored to be the chief in Hollis. And Rick, I want to thank you for all your hard work. Just so you know, you don't really have a choice but to do this. So that was a joke.
He loves it.
Yeah, he does. He does love it. I want to thank the students for your hard work, as well as the teachers, Ms. Fowler, for your support, and then, of course, the parents. And, as you finish with the program, make sure to have these conversations with your parents and with siblings, because the curriculum and the content that you learned over 10 weeks is really, really important. And I can tell you that it will stay with you throughout life. And just a quick story, and I tell it every year, but I am a graduate of DARE. In middle school, I had a DARE teacher. His name was Officer Ray Peachy. And not only did DARE equip me with some really important life skills to stay away from substances like alcohol and tobacco and other drugs, but it gave me really partly the desire to be a police officer, because I knew I could have a good impact on not just the community, but also the people within the community, the children, and of course their parents. So I congratulate each of you. I congratulate each of you in the room today, and I look forward to hearing your essays. And I hope you all have a great summer, and I thank you, Rick, for your hard work. So thank you.
All right, now the essay winners. No one wanted to go first, so Chief, pick a number 1 through 6. 6. It's going to be Jackson Warren from Mr. Vitek's class.
Sorry, Jackson. I think you knew this was coming.
All right. Did you know that close to 450,000 people every year die from tobacco or secondhand smoke? It's crazy, but that is why DARE is so important, because it teaches us how to avoid bad habits and to not be a part of that 450,000 people. DARE stands for Drug Abuse Resistance Education, which is an amazing acronym if you ask me. DARE has taught me and many more people to avoid tobacco and alcohol, how to make responsible choices, communicating styles, and many more. DARE has taught us important facts about drugs, alcohol, bullying, and more. But DARE has also taught us how to make good decisions using the DARE decision-making model. DARE is very important, but how we choose to use that information in the far near future is just as important. In my report, I will be talking about everything that I have said in this paragraph and more. We have learned so much in DARE class, like how to report bullying or signs of stress. DARE has also taught me the importance of communicating effectively and confidently. In lesson 2, we learned about bad effects of alcohol and tobacco. But the more alarming fact in this lesson to me was that there are 200 known harmful chemicals in cigarette smoke. This fact to me is so alarming because we know of 200 bad chemicals in cigarette smoke, but people still choose to smoke, which is why having this class will let us have a better understanding of how bad and harmful cigarettes can be. In DARE class, we have also learned about signs of stress, and strategies to relieve stress that have helped my team win our flag football championship. Those facts were only a small part of what Officer Bergeron has taught us in the past 8 or 9 weeks. The DARE decision-making model can and will help me in a number of different ways. The DARE decision-making model includes define, assess, respond, and the last step is to evaluate your decision. Using the decision-making model has helped me with the simpler things like my homework or on the lacrosse field. Knowing the decision-making model is a very useful tool to have if I or anyone gets stuck in a tough situation. I was once in a difficult situation of whether I should play for my basketball team or my lacrosse team. But now this was 2 years ago, but even then, if I didn't know the exact DARE decision-making model, I still had the idea of it. I decided to play one half of each game, which was a good decision because I was a part of both teams and didn't want to let them down. That was just one time that I used the DARE decision-making model, but there are plenty more. As I said before, the information learned in DARE is important, but how we use that information is equal or even more important. We have learned so much in DARE that can and will help us in the future. Officer Bergeron taught us about box breathing that I have already used in my life. I used the box breathing technique in my flag football championship game when I had to play quarterback, which is a position that I don't regularly play. We went on to win the championship, and using the box breathing helped me stay calm during this stressful time. Knowing about all of the harmful causes of alcohol and tobacco can help us not make bad decisions that could hurt us in the long run. Knowing all of the facts we've learned in DARE will help us stay out of trouble with a number of different situations. DARE has helped me learn about alcohol can slow down the brain, causing slow reflexes, memory loss, poor judgment, and many more harmful effects. I've also learned through DARE how to respond under pressure. Being able to know how to respond under pressure can help us all be better protected from being peer pressured into doing something we don't want to do. I plan to use what we've learned in DARE to get myself out of trouble or to just make better and responsible decisions. Using the DARE decision-making model can and will help me and many more people to make responsible choices in our life. Having the DARE program is an amazing feature in 6th grade to teach us how to be all-around better people in this world.
Any volunteers for second? Jackson, pick a number 1 to 5. 3, Levi, you're up.
DARE is a helpful and interesting program that might teach you something you don't know. It's a fun topic, but a serious one that you should pay attention to. It teaches you about drugs, smoking, drinking, communication, and bullying. The acronym DARE stands for Drug Abuse Resistance Education, but you learn a whole lot more than just that. You might think you know everything about it, and I felt the same way, but trust me, it's going to teach you some new things that you need to know. Be respectful to the officer or whoever is teaching you DARE. Now I'm going to tell you more about the things in this program. One topic that is talked about in Dare is drugs. It is definitely a needed topic. You might talk about vaping, which is a form of addicted nicotine. They will also give you facts and reasons on how it will harm your brain and lungs. I learned some facts on what part of the body smoking and vaping affects your brain and your lungs. I also learned how to resist peer pressure. Officer Bergeron will also teach you how to resist peer pressure into smoking or vaping. The topic is talked about a lot, and Officer Bergeron will show you some different types of vapes and teach you to stay away from them. Vaping, while not being a new thing, is growing quickly, and people like high school students and college students are most likely to be peer pressured into using them. Communication is one of the most important topics in Dare. It is more important than learning how to than it is important that people learn how to communicate, not just now but later on in life, in your job, just walking on the sidewalk. If something bad happens, you have to tell someone about it, either the police or whoever you think needs to know. Example, if I saw somebody vandalizing things or doing drugs, I would call the cops. But if I saw my siblings fighting, I would maybe tell my parents. You have to learn what situations need to be told to what people. I learned that you need to know the situation before you tell someone or intervene, but never be a bad bystander. Never just watch the fight and always tell someone or intervene yourself. Alcohol is another important topic. It talks about what age you can go to court for for drinking. It also teaches you that It also teaches you that just because people say it's cool, or if everybody else is drinking alcohol, or maybe you're just being peer pressured at a party, Officer Bergeron will teach you how to resist peer pressure. He talks to you about if you ever find yourself in a situation where you are drinking because of something that has happened to you or your family, you can get therapy or help to stop drinking. In conclusion, Dare is a very interesting topic. You will learn about drugs, smoking, communication, bullying, peer pressure, and much, much more. But those are the most talked about topics, whether you are online, working, or in person.
Any volunteers for third? Levi, pick a number 1, 2, 4, 5. Lucy from Mr. Pooler's class.
Dare has taught me many things. Through the different models and the work that we have done, the lessons have impacted my life and the lives of many other people. During this experience, 3 things have really taught me about what Dare means. These were some of the most important things to learn, and it is great that we are learning on so early as students. There are many surprises on how kids either smoke, drink alcohol, or do drugs. In addition, almost 6 million people die from tobacco use and 2.5 million from harmful use of alcohol each year worldwide. This is a crazy number that because of Dare will hopefully go down. We should now dive into the program and see what it really means and how it has already benefited the lives of many. The 3 major things that I learned were how to communicate confidently and get away from bad situations, what the acronym DARE stands for, and how bad alcohol, drugs, and smoking can be. Communicating confidently is one of the most beneficial things that you can do. By communicating confidently, it can make you seem like you know what you're talking about and you can take control of the situation. And that's how you get out of a bad situation, by communicating confidently and changing the subject. DARE stands for Define, Assess, Respond, and Evaluate. When you define, you look for what the situation is, the challenge or opportunity. Assess is when you look at your choices and make sure to consider all of them. Respond is when you take action and choose the best possible one. Evaluate is when you look at what you chose and think if it was a good choice. Those are the 4 steps to making good choices. Smoking, doing drugs, and drinking alcohol are one of the worst things you could do. All of them have terrible side effects, and some examples are drunk driving, heart and lung problems, being delusional, and bad effects on your looks. When learning about these things, we use one resource more than others, the DARE decision-making model. This was a helpful tool and was a good addition to DARE. The decision-making model worked by giving you a situation. There were things from having to choose between a birthday and a game to being asked if you want drugs. After reading the situation, there would be 4 steps of DARE to fill out. You define, assess, respond, and evaluate. One example is with this situation. Jamel has a science project that is due tomorrow. He has a new video game and really wants to beat the top score of his friends. He does not have time to do both. The challenge is that he wants to do one, but has to do the other. Some options are not doing the project in the morning, not doing the project, or playing with his friends later. I would choose to play with the friends later because I would have time to beat my high score later, and I'd have to do the project. I think that I made the good choice. These were great to use because there were some situations that I had lived through and learned how to respond better to them in the future, as well as things that I'd never considered preparing for. Overall, it was a good mix. As Dare has taught me, there are many ways people can implement Dare into their lives. By using many of the tricks and tips, we as students are actively making better choices and being more responsible. Something that everyone can do is think about every decision in the Dare way. You do that by defining, assessing, responding, and evaluating. Those steps help the world by setting a new batch of people that make good choices. In many more situations to come, I will be using this method and thinking about my actions. There are many situations where this can be used, like if I'm offered drugs or to smoke. In addition to Dare, I will be using the confidence trick, like making eye contact, standing up straight, and looking at who I'm talking to. All things considered, I will do a lot of Dare in my lifetime. As you can see, Dare has been a great tool for me as well as other students. Through the new information, the Dare decision-making model, and the huge amount of potential for later use in life, Dare has really changed lives. During this experience, I've learned so much. Sadly, I could not put every lesson in this essay, but they were all important. Thank you to the Dare people who are making a great difference for students across America.
Lucy, pick a number, 2, 4, or 5. 2 from Miss Ryan's class, Samantha Burke.
There are different types of bullying. The three most common ones are cyberbullying, verbal bullying, and physical bullying. Bullying comes in different shapes and sizes, but that doesn't mean that any of them are good. Cyberbullying is the act of bullying someone online. It could be bullying someone through email, text, and even through social media, which is the most common scenario. In my opinion, cyberbullying is the most dangerous type of bullying because it can scar the mind and lower your self-esteem. Especially during quarantine, I had been in at least 2 online bullying situations with older girls that didn't even live in New Hampshire. The scariest things about those memories is that as much as I want to forget them, they will always be very vivid in my mind. Whenever I'm in a situation where I'm being cyberbullied, I would either tell a trusted adult or try to fix the issue myself. Knowing me, I would probably try to fix it on my own. And when that doesn't work, I would tell a trusted adult. Trying to fix it on my own, if it doesn't work anyway, probably isn't the best decision because now all I've done is make the situation worse. In conclusion, the best choice for when you're being cyberbullied is to tell a trusted adult and then go from there. Verbal bullying is exactly what it sounds like. It's using your words to bully someone. If you're being verbally bullied, they would usually insult your appearance or your personality. Basically, if you're any different from them, that's what they'll come after. When I'm verbally bullied, I will usually retaliate, either that or laugh it off. If I choose to retaliate, then I would use the one phrase that comes to mind. You're coming to insult me while at the same time having the personality and attitude of a 5-year-old sticky iPad and expecting me to take you seriously. If they come at me more, that's when I'll tell an adult. Especially if they try to insult my friends. Honestly, the fact that I insult them back now that I'm saying that out loud probably isn't the best idea, but that's just how I work when someone insults me. I kind of pull a do first, think never kind of trick. If you're ever in a verbal bullying situation, try not to do what I do. Don't insult them back. It'll always end up with both of you getting in the same amount of trouble. Just go tell an adult what they're doing, and that adult will help you handle it. Now on to physical bullying. In my opinion, physical bullying is the second most dangerous type of bullying after cyberbullying. You could come out with just a scratch, but you could also come out with a broken rib cage, bloody nose, or a sprained ankle. It all depends on how fast you can get out of the bully's grasp. I myself have never been in a situation where I was physically bullied, but I have been a bystander. I was at Hollis Social Library and there were 2 high schoolers present. One was backing away from the other and I knew was going to come next, even though I was very young at the time. I immediately went inside the library and found my dad, who was able to break up the fight before anyone got hurt, but who knows what would have come next if I didn't go find him. When you're a bystander in a physical bullying situation, the best thing you could possibly do is find someone to stop it. If you try to break it up yourself, it's quite possible that you will get hurt. These are 3 of the most common types of bullying. Cyberbullying is the act of bullying someone online. Verbal bullying means hurting someone with your words. Physical bullying is hurting someone by touching them, or beating them up. Even though all of these examples are bullying, they're all damaging to the mind and body in their own ways. I will continue to use the habit of reporting bullying. DARE has taught me ways to going about being a good citizen by reporting a bullying situation.
Four or five? Five. From Miss McBride's classroom, James.
Today we will be learning about what to do and what not to do in stressful situations involving drugs or smoking. What does DARE stand for, you may ask? It stands for Drug Abuse Resistance Education. The founder is Daryl Gates. Their mascot is Darren the Lion. If there's ever an assembly at your school, you may get to see him. When you're approaching the days of middle school and high school, you don't want to get yourself stuck in the wrong crew. You may not have seen anything disturbing like drugs, smoking, or alcohol, but you very likely will have once you get into middle school and high school. For example, what happens if you walk into a smoke session in the bathroom during class? You have a few options. You could walk to the principal's office and have them deal with it, or second, you could just walk away and forget that it even happened. If I were you, I would walk into the principal's office and try to get their help because smoking can risk how long you live and give you lung cancer. What do you do if they ask you to join them? The most important thing to say is no. Smoking is very addictive and it's hard to stop. Being asked by random people is one thing, but what if a very close friend asks you to do drugs or smoke with them? A lot of the time, you're not going to want to disappoint your friend or make them mad because you said no. But trust me, in the long run, you're going to say, wow, I'm so glad that I didn't smoke with him. You may be saying, what if that friend is your only friend? Here's a few things that you can do to find the right friends and be in a safe environment. First, join a club or sports team. Second, you could go to someone in your class and start a conversation. Making friends may seem difficult, but once you start trying, it's really easy. Cyberbullying. If you are getting bullied online or someone you know is getting cyberbullied, you're going to have to address the situation. Here's 3 things that you can do first. You can email an adult or an older figure you can trust. Second, you can block the person who is bullying you or ask them why they are doing this. Third, a lot of the time when a person bullies, it's because they feel bad about themselves. So you could act as a friend or be extra nice to them whenever you see them. What did you learn from this? Was it helpful? If you want to learn more, sign up for Dare Remote. I enjoyed learning and writing about all the things I can do to make sure I'm safe and healthy.
And last but certainly not least, from Mrs. Boudreau's class, Shawnee.
Did you know that over 400,000 Americans die a year from tobacco? Even though not all people smoke, 50,000 people die a year from secondhand smoke. The DARE decision-making model can teach kids how to avoid bad situations like staying away from people who smoke. The DARE program stands for Drug Abuse Resistant Education, and the DARE decision-making model stands for Define, Assess, Respond, and Evaluate. Both are very important to know. I knew that smoking and drinking were bad, but now I know that it can harm every organ in your body. I was surprised to learn that smoking can cause yellow teeth and bad breath, and that chewing tobacco can cause mouth cancer and tooth loss. Even though most teens do not drink alcohol, DARE can help further prevent teens from drinking. Drinking alcohol can cause memory loss, loss of coordination, and causes about 75,000 deaths a year. If someone consumes too much alcohol, it can damage every organ in the body and lead to coma or death. The DARE decision-making model helped me when I was at the mall with some friends. The parent in charge went shopping and told us to stick together and go off on our own. We went to a few stores and came to a disagreement. Each of us wanted to go to a different store. One friend suggested that we each go off on our own and meet at the food court when we were done. I knew that this was a bad idea, but it made sense. If we split up, then we would be done shopping faster. We all voted, and 2 of us voted that we stick together, but the other 2 voted that we split up. I was the tiebreaker and used the DARE decision-making model to decide that everyone should stick together. The DARE decision-making model is very useful, and even though I've already used it countless times, in the future there will be many more opportunities to use what I've learned in DARE. If I were to come across someone smoking on the street, I could go around them because secondhand smoking is very serious and many people die from it. It would be the same thing if I was at a party and suddenly people were drinking. It would be best for me and my friends to leave. Drinking under the age of 21 is illegal and dangerous. Even over the age of 21, drinking can still be dangerous. Many kids who have done nothing wrong get into trouble because they are hanging out with the wrong group of people. If someone was with someone that smokes, but they don't smoke, they can still be impacted through secondhand smoke. If the smoke smell got on their clothes, people might think that that person smokes, which could get them in a lot of trouble. In conclusion, DARE is an important part of education. It teaches how to make safe and responsible choices, the effects of poor choices, and how to stand up to people. Being taught how your choices affect you and people around you is very important. I think that knowing what effects smoking and drinking can have on you and your health is a crucial part of education, and no child should grow up not knowing about the DARE decision-making model.
Thank you, everyone. I certainly did learn a lot, the culminating essays for your DARE after 10 weeks of work. So at this time, I'm going to ask all the teachers and all the students at home to find your certificates or pass them out. So go ahead and grab those certificates. Essay winners, your certificates will be down in your classrooms, or you already have them at your houses, okay? So I'll give us just a few moments to grab those certificates. While you're passing those out, and at home if you have them, I want you to take a look at them. That certificate isn't just a piece of paper. It represents a lot of work. Not only did you just see the essay winners right here, but everyone in the whole entire 6th grade wrote essays. And that is a culmination of those 10 weeks. What did you learn? What stuck with you? What do you think was the most important? What do you think you're going to use? There were lots of lessons in your online workbooks or your paper workbooks where you had to actually think and answer and reflect. And it wasn't as simple as, oh, let me read that and just write what it says again, right? You had to really take into account what that meant to you. And as you were thinking about that and processing it, what's happening is it's getting put in your long-term memory. So that means when you go to 7th grade, you're an 8th grader, you're a 9th grader, you're a grown-up, as you can see from the chief, right? It sticks with you. When you practice something, it's going to last longer for you. When you say, what do I need to do for that DARE decision-making model, right? How can I analyze something? How can I reflect on it? How can I take that action? How can I evaluate, right? All of those things, when you practice them, they become easier and easier to do. And take it from us who are on the way other side of graduation, right? Many, many years past getting out of high school and college and working. We still have to use these skills that you're learning right now in 6th grade. So just like you're growing your behavior wings, your social skills wings, and your academic wings, you now have some DARE wings you need to grow. And they grow by using them and making these great decisions. And I heard from all of you, and I'm sure if I read all the essays, I'd hear something like, ask someone you trust, whether that's an adult, whether that's another friend, ask a trusted person for some advice. When you don't know what to do, you don't have to take action. You can stop, think, right? And you can always say, I'm not sure about that, let me get back to you. I'm not sure that's going to work, let me get back to you, to buy yourself some time. So everybody got their certificates? All right, hold them up if you have them. Congratulations. I'm giving everyone a round of applause for all that hard work. And on behalf of your teachers, I did get Officer Bergeron a little gift, so we have a little gift for Officer Bergeron, which he can open later. But I think Officer Bergeron has a few other things he wants to say, right? All right.
Thank you, Mrs. Fowler, for the gift. Again, DARE essay winners, thank you very much. I know it took some bravery to get up here and talk in front of a camera and 2 parents and a couple of police officers. Appreciate it. I know no one wanted to go first, then no one wanted to go second. But you did a great job. So every year I kind of get awards for classrooms and stuff. And it was funny because me and Mrs. Fowler were talking and we didn't know if we were going to do the DARE graduation in person with everybody, if we were going to do it just remote and recorded like we did last year. So I didn't know what to get, so I actually got these. So it's almost like the Academy Awards. So I went through and I was like, well, I don't watch the Academy Awards, but what kind of like categories are there, and I found that there is one called Breakout Performance. So this classroom and teacher do it out of their seamless transitions, responsive emails when I would send out emails and say, hey, this kid's kind of falling behind. Is there a time I can come in during lunch or wing time to help them and move them along? Was enthusiastic, and as the chief would say, a consummate professional. This award for breakout performance goes to Miss Ryan and with the help of Miss Jessie, the paraprofessional. Next award. Grab it. So this one is adaptive, most adaptive class. So being a police officer, sometimes I get called away to the high school. Sometimes I end up with training that I have to do. Sometimes I have to go to court. And unfortunately, this class, more than any other class, had to adapt. I also respect the creative ways that this classroom thinks about problems and solutions, the way they adapted to my crazy schedule. So this one is for Mrs. Miller and the support of Ms. Dodge. So this one was a tough one to come up with a category that also matched. So in the Academy Awards or whatever they say, animated, like cartoon. So this one's for animated class, and the students were so animated in the way they spoke, came up with problem solutions, answers, eye rolls. Great stories, able to make me think on my feet with some of their questions. Their ability to make me guess that they were setting the bar really low, and then all of a sudden the next word out of their mouth I was like, why did you just say that? Your thoughts are way up here. And lastly, the smiles. They would have big smiles ear to ear. I'd catch them sometimes, and then they would see that I was watching them or saw them, and it would just turn into a straight cold face. So this award goes to Mrs. McBride's class with the support of Mr. Tasso. This one was an easy one. So I don't do Zoom. I have a Zoom account, and I was told this year was kind of weird because I didn't know if I was going to be doing Dare, if I was going to be able to go in the classrooms, if it was going to be all remote, even the ones in the classroom. So I asked this teacher, hey, can you walk me through Zoom? I have zero knowledge of it as far as how to run the class. They walked me through Zoom. This teacher was always cool, calm, and collected. Couldn't get them unraveled. Even in the 11th hour, that being today, we were texting back and forth at roughly 5 in the morning to try and get the last few students that had just a couple things to get through to finish. He's a master of his craft. This award goes to Mr. Pooler for Best Supporting Actor. All right, this award was a runner-up for Breakout Performance. She has tons of experience in the classroom. However, this is her first year as support to me in Dare. She was amazing. Again, another one that is a master of her craft, that being computers. Helped me out in class when I struggled a little bit. She was able to jump in and get the students on chat to do their answers. She helped me with my classroom management skills via Zoom. Zoom is a whole new animal when it's trying to get kids to be engaged. She was also the first class to have everything completed, so I didn't have to worry about her class anymore. It was stress that she took off my back, which I appreciate. So for this award, Best Supporting Actress, Mrs. Boudreau, with the help of Mrs. Hebert. And that is all the awards. I'm kidding, Mr. Vitek. So every year, for the past 3 years, Mr. Vitek has won an award when there was pretty much only one award, and it used to be called the Hospitality Award. And the stuff he did in his classroom for me, he would bring snacks, and so I'd be able to eat a snack, and on the plate, kids would draw out like a pun or something funny that they would work in to whatever I was eating. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but they were funny. I think halfway through, maybe week 5, he realized I wasn't eating them in the classroom because I had to have my mask on and whatnot. So I still appreciate them, and I did eat them once I got into my car. Other things that started with week 1. So started telling dad jokes, and that was Jackson, our essay winner. He started telling dad jokes, so I had to up my game and tell some dad jokes, and I'll tell you the dad joke for today. So my daughter, she is a horse rider, and she rides a horse, and the horse's name is Mayo. Great horse. Unfortunately, sometimes Mayo neighs. All right. Other things. They started, one of the students, Reese, started with this, I don't know if anyone has done them, where like you pick your first letter of your first name and that's your first name of whatever. So I found out my secret agent code name was Silver Atticus. That's according to what she said. My hippie name was Serenity Willow. And my old-time baseball name was Pee Wee Money O'Rourke. So to find that out, she would figure out what my first letter of my first name was and the first letter in my last name, or sometimes it was the last letter in my last name. And she had a whole list of stuff that she would have to go through. There was also the duck hiding. So a couple times they have a duck that has sunglasses, a little rubber duck, and it has a necklace that's gold. And it gets hidden every day, or almost every day. So I was brought in and I was allowed to hide the duck for the class a couple times. And I have to say I did a pretty good job. I think my job as a police officer helped me in that, being able to hide things. Not because I hide things, but because I find things that are hidden. Let's see, I also taught this class, and I think 1 or 2 other classes, the topic, because of the duck hiding, and I would come in and try and find the duck, I would ask, let's say, Jackson. I'd say, Jackson, did you find the duck today? And he instinctively would look to make sure the duck was still there. So I would use that for a couple of weeks until I taught them the trick. And I would be able to find it real quick. And then I would make a point of trying to do it after they found out the trick and see which student wasn't paying attention and would inadvertently look again, allowing me to find the duck. So the Comedy Award goes to, or Best Comedic Class goes to Mr. Vitek's class that is supported by Mrs. Epler. I think that is all for Dare graduation. Did you want to say a few couple words? Thank you.
Well, thank you, Officer Bergeron, for always making a very serious subject fun to learn, engaging, and really working hard. So let's have one more round of applause for Officer Bergeron. Thank you very much. Again, my deepest thanks and appreciations goes to the Hollis Police Department for supporting that. I know that's just part of the program, but you don't have to make that part of the program. And so to me, it says a lot of importance goes on to helping our students be amazing human beings. And so I do thank you, especially when we didn't have as many officers as we have, that we're still letting Rick come over to do his classes, and other police officers would take different shifts for him so he could be here to do that. So thank you very much, Hollis Police Department. Really appreciate that. All right, at this time, that concludes our DARE graduation. Thanks for all of your hard work, and we will see you in about a month for promotion. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye. All right, essay winners, would you like to take your trophy to your teacher?